Human beings don't agree on a lot of things, but I think we can all agree that life is really strange and scary. The fact that you exist and you don't know why you exist. You are told that you live in a planet and there's many other planets out there. No one knows if there is life out there. When you wake up in the morning, you see the sun coming up. You're like, You look up, you see the clouds. Like, what are those? There's many animals that you don't know that share the planet with you. Many people that you don't know that share the planet with you. We don't seem to, love one another the way that we actually desire to be loved. We don't seem to understand one another the way that we desire to be understood. It seems like we're all confused. We don't know if there's a God. We can't predict the future. I didn't know that my ex-girlfriend was going to bite my forehead when I woke up that Sunday. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. Things just happen. You don't really feel like you're in control of your life. Sometimes you feel anxious because you're afraid of suffering. No one wants to suffer. You don't know how you're going to suffer next. You don't know if you're not going to lose a loved one within the next few days. You don't know if you're not going to become sick. You don't know if you're not going to lose your job. You don't know if no one is going to break into your house and steal from you and maybe unalive you. You don't know. But what if there were people in this room who actually knew what is actually going on? They just would not tell you because they're not allowed to. Like in the Truman Show. Truman was the only one who didn't know what was going on. He did have a feeling that something was off, but he didn't know what was going on. He did have a feeling that people are acting, but he still didn't know what was going on. And they were not allowed to tell him. See, whenever he asked questions, he asked the real questions that people should be asking. Isn't it strange that people are not even asking real questions? When he asked what was out there, when he said he wanted to go out there and see what was up, and he said he feels like he's being watched, they had to make him feel like he's crazy. You see, when you ask the realest questions here, people make it seem like you're crazy. Ever realize that? Every person who asks the right questions, people think they're crazy. If they don't think you're crazy, they think you're depressed. If they don't think you're depressed, they think you think too much. But they always have something to say, and it's something negative. You're not supposed to ask real questions. You're supposed to pretend as if this is normal. You're in a world that you do not understand. Live with people who don't seem to want to understand what is actually going on. People believing in religions that don't make sense. And you are here with them. What if everyone knows what's going on, or some people know what's going on, and there's just some few people who don't know what's going on, and they are more important than they think they are? Maybe this is an experiment. Maybe they want to see if they put a person in a world that they do not understand, and people are doing a lot of weird things. If these people are going to start to copy everyone else and do the weird things that everyone else is doing, because there are a lot of weird things that we're supposed to be doing in this realm. Or maybe it's a prison. I mean, wouldn't it be a perfect prison? Think about it. You're in a prison, you don't know that you're in a prison. Everyone else knows that you're in a prison, and they're free. You don't know that they're free. They are happy. You don't know that they are happy, because they know the truth. Maybe they're just working here. Maybe this is a job. Like they applied for this job to become your handlers, or to become the prison guards, or to become actors. They apply for this job, so they're good. Maybe they are able to, sometimes take leave. When you don't hear from your friends in like a week, like you don't hear from your friends for like a week, maybe they went back to wherever they come from, and they're having fun. And you stuck here because it's a prison, and they're not going to tell you. They don't really care about you because you're a criminal, you are bad, you're evil, so no one feels compassion for you, right? What if that was the truth, that you were actually in prison? I mean, how do we explain suffering? There's so much suffering in this realm. You have suffered a lot, and you didn't want to. It's not like you wanted to suffer. It's not like you understood why you were suffering. You just find yourself suffering. What if your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your wife, what if they're all in on it? They know exactly what life is, and they're all acting. They're told exactly what they need to do. When your girlfriend breaks your heart, she was told that she must break your heart. When your girlfriend cheats on you, she was told that she must cheat on you. When your parents pretend to not understand you when you're telling them the truth, they were told that they should pretend as if they don't understand you so that you will suffer. Your father leaves you when you are still a baby. He was told that he must leave you. When people rob you, they were told that they must rob you. When people lie to you, they were told that they must lie to you. Like in the episode of Black Mirror called White Bear, I think it's the first episode of season 2, where this lady wakes up in a house and she doesn't remember anything. When she got outside, there were these guys with guns who were trying to shoot her, so she ran and found people in the street holding cell phones, recording her, and she tried to talk to them, but they didn't respond to her, and she continued to run. And there were some few people who were not holding cell phones and who seemed normal, so they explained to her that, no, man, look, what's going on is that there's a signal coming from this other pole that's making people act this way, so we need to go and disrupt the signal and it will all be okay. And when they were on their way there, they were kept on getting attacked by these guys. But in the end, it was revealed to her that no, you and your ex-boyfriend, you unalived a little girl and you are being punished. You are being punished because you were recording the whole thing. That's why those people were recording you on their cell phones while you were running, and she had to go through it over and over and over and over and over again. Right? That's scary. What if that's what's actually going on here? Because we are suffering, bruh. We're not really in control. That's something that we should all keep in mind. Yes, we should try our best. You can't just wake up and do nothing at all. I do feel like you must try your best to stay afloat. Just try your best to stay afloat. If it means that you have um, to work on your own, work, you know, do like internal work, like shadow work, whatever. You do that. Try that. Try to build resilience within, but something weird might be going on. But what if the truth was the opposite? What if it just seems like other people have their own lives, they have their own secrets, they have their own beliefs, they have their own feelings, they have their own thoughts, they have their own experiences? What if they don't? What if other people are not experiencing anything? What if other people don't know anything? What if other people have never asked themselves any question? What if other people do not have any secret? Like any secret, because they don't know anything. What if you are the only person who knows something? What if you're the only person who feels something? What if you're the only person who hears something? What if you are the only one who's conscious here? What if you are in a dream? You're trapped inside your own dream, inside your own consciousness, and you don't know how to come out of your own trap. What if reality can only be a dream, and in this dream you can only be the only one who is conscious, and everyone else is just figment of your imagination? What if other people don't have their own personal lives? What if you just got bored of being alone, and one day you decided to forget that you are alone, and you started to dream? The same way that when we're bored, we let our mind wander. Like when you're bored, you just think. You just think. Sometimes you can even catch yourself talking to yourself. Doesn't that happen to you? You literally catch yourself talking to yourself. Like, oh, how did that happen? Like you could talk to yourself for like 5 minutes without even realizing that you're talking to yourself. And then you realize that, oh shit, I was talking to myself. Isn't it weird to you that you dream? It's crazy to me that people treat dreams as something normal. Every night when you sleep, you go to a different place that you didn't, even want to go to. I mean, maybe sometimes we do find ourselves in places that we'd like to go to, but in general, we just find ourselves in a place, and it's not a place that we said we wanted to go to. You just find yourself in that place, and you'd be having an experience that seems real, and you believe that it is real until you wake up and you're like, I can't believe there was a dream. Sometimes you have a dream where you fucked up your life completely. Maybe your cops are looking for you. You're about to get arrested. Maybe you caused an accident. Maybe you're being chased by some big monsters, and then you wake up and be like, oh, it was just a dream. Isn't it weird that you can't control your dreams, and when you're dreaming, you don't know that you're dreaming? What if this too is just a dream? And you don't know that it's a dream because you've not woken up yet. What if one day you're actually going to wake up and be like, oh shit, it was just a dream? And maybe when you wake up, you're going to realize that it was just you. It's always been you. There were no other people. Everything was just your projection. And for it to work, you mustn't even know how you are creating these projections. It just needs to happen. The same way that you don't catch yourself most of the time when you're thinking about things. You just find yourself thinking. What if dreams are just, consciousness trying to, desperately trying to create experiences for itself to not feel alone? Because it does suck feeling alone, right? No one wants to feel alone. So can you imagine how it would be like being the only one that exists? If you've watched movies about people who were left alone on Earth, like movies like I Am Legend, TV series like The Last Man on Earth, you find that person is desperately looking for company. They don't want to feel alone. Sometimes they just play alone, right? You think they're going crazy because they are alone. So what if there is no other? What if it's just you? But you're tired of feeling alone, so you started to dream, and now you're trapped in your own dream. You don't know how to wake up, and there's no one to wake you up. It's you who has to wake up, who has to find a way to wake up. What if that's the final truth? What if you don't want to accept that that's the truth? What if you're scared to accept that that is the truth? Because of what it will mean, because of what it will imply. because you've been desperately trying to run away from feeling alone. So this is better. This feels better to you because, well, it doesn't really feel like you're alone, right? Even though you are interacting with people who might not be treating you very well, even though you might not be living in the kind of house that you want to live in because, well, you kept on failing to, make things work in your favor in this realm. Even though you don't drive the car of your dream, you see these people who are not even self-aware, driving nice cars. You see these people are not even self-aware, traveling the world. If you are the only one here, would you say that you were successful at trying to avoid boredom, or you just fell into another trap where you are in a world that seemed real and you believe that it is real, but the people that you interact with make you feel alone? Do you feel like that defeats the purpose? That it's actually better for you to wake up completely and realize that you are alone. It has always been just you. Or what will be better is if you can wake up while you're still here. You wake up completely and you know beyond any doubt in your mind that you were the only one here. Wouldn't that be interesting? If you realize while you're still here that you were the only one who was suffering. Every bad thing that you've gone through, you are the only one who went through it. You look at the animals and you care about their suffering, but they were not suffering because they were not conscious. You look at the person who was mistreated and you felt for them, but they weren't suffering. You were the only one who was suffering, watching them suffer because you believe that they were actually suffering. Wouldn't you say, if you were God and you were tired of being bored and feeling alone, you didn't really change anything by creating this dream? Because you are actually feeling more alone than you were feeling when you were God, when you were whole. Because people here are not connecting. They're not showing each other love. They don't understand one another. That would be like if you were very hungry and you didn't have food. They took you to one of the best restaurants in the world and they made you sit in the middle and you watch everyone eat. Will that be better? Will that be better than you just being hungry alone and there's no food? No one is eating food. If you are really alone, it will be good to try to be what you want the world to be. But what if the truth is something much worse than that? What if everyone here is conscious and everyone here doesn't know what's going on? And we're just programmed to torture one another. There are animals that must eat other animals in order to survive. If they decided to rebel against their own nature, they will die. And they wouldn't just die, they will die a painful death. I remember I had a conversation with someone. This person was telling me that they're so tired. They're so tired of life and they didn't want to go on anymore. So they were like, yeah, I'll just not eat. And I laughed at them. It was like, no, there's no, like, that's not easy, you know? When I used to go to church, sometimes we would fast. I don't know why I didn't cheat. What the heck was I fasting for? Like, fast for like 2 days. Like, that was hard, bro. So I can imagine how hard it would be for a person to just not eat until they pass on. Like, that would really, really be hard. If animals that are supposed to eat other animals to survive don't hunt these animals and eat them, then they die a painful death. So they can't rebel. We're programmed to not hold the same views. Why can't all of us be Christian? Huh? Why can't all of us be Muslims? Why can't all of us be atheists? Why do we see things differently? Doesn't that feel like a setup? Why are some people short? Why are some people tall? Why are some people smart? Why are some people dumb? Why do we speak different languages? It might seem like maybe we speak different languages, we don't have the same values, we don't believe in the same religions simply because we're different. But what if we're different for a reason? What if we're different because something wanted to use our differences against us? We suffer because we're different. If we're all the same, looked at things the same way, we'll just get along and it will all be well. There will be no suffering. But no, we don't see things the same way. There are some people who are against your own autonomy. Even if you want to do something that doesn't affect other people in a negative way, they can't be against it. They can't tell themselves that, oh, that is immoral, that is bad, that makes you evil, that shouldn't be allowed. But to you, it makes perfect sense. To them, it doesn't. So by default, you're supposed to, have conflict. Some people are racist. They just hate a certain race of people. It doesn't matter how good some of these people are. They just hate this race of people. Like Uncle Rogus in the Boondocks. He just hated black people even though he was black. He believed that he wasn't black. He hated black people so much that he believed that he wasn't black. He believed that he had revitiligo, the opposite of vitiligo. You see that there's nothing that a black person can do to make Uncle Ruckus love him. He just hates black people. What if we're just farm animals and there are highly evolved aliens that are feeding off our energy? They have a way of stealing our energy, and they feed off this energy, and they must make sure that we consistently produce this energy. Sometimes when we have peace in the world, they will start wars. Over stupid things, they will find ways to start wars, so that we do not have peace. If we have things, those find a way to create lack so that we don't have the things that we want. If people are getting along, they'll find ways to make sure that they don't get along. If you're in a relationship with someone and things are going well, they will find ways to manipulate you or to make things to not work out so that you will produce loosh. You're happy, you are at peace, you are alone. They'll find a way to bring someone into your life that's gonna make things worse. Unless when you are alone, you're lonely and you're producing loosh because you are alone. But let's say you are alone and you are really at peace, you're good. I'm telling you. Usually, when you are alone and you are really at peace, yeah, that's when someone comes along and they don't really make things better in your life, do they? Why is there so much suffering in this world? Why do we have desires that ain't met? I mean, when we wake up in the morning, we just eat. We don't even care about food anymore. You just eat because, well, you're hungry, right? And you don't want to feel hungry because you don't feel comfortable when you're hungry. So you eat. You check if there is something on YouTube that interests you. Find that there's nothing. You check if there are some new movies that are out. There's nothing. Okay, you go to work. Same faces, same problems. Nothing really interesting. Same old BS. Watch the news. Same shit. You go on TikTok. Same shit. And you just get bored and you suffer because of that. Nothing is really that interesting. Right, but you still can't get the things that you want. You still can't live in the house that you want to live in. You still can't get the partner that you want to get. You're not even looking for the most beautiful man, the most beautiful woman. You're just looking for someone that you're truly compatible with, someone that you can connect with. But nah, it's so damn hard. You're looking. You want a job, a decent job. It's so damn hard. You are living with your family and everyone is toxic, so you just want to find your own place, but it's so damn hard. You find yourself having problems. Things are never easy. What if suffering is not a bug? What if suffering isn't necessary? What if we suffer because something wants us to suffer so that it will get energy from us? And the reason why we are not very intelligent, but more intelligent than other animals, is because we produce, like, it's so that we'll be able to produce a lot of energy. You see, the more intelligent you are, the more you produce, the more energy you produce. The more you realize how upside down this world is, the more energy you produce, because there will be a lot of things that you hate about this world, and you will produce a lot of energy because of what you hate about this world. And the more you ask yourself questions about existence, and these questions are never answered, the more energy you produce. The more confused you are, the more energy you produce. The more you debate with other people who don't believe what you believe, the more energy you produce. The more you scroll on TikTok trying to find your favorite videos, and you find videos of someone who's saying the most ignorant shit, the more energy you produce. We were not supposed to get along. Like, we were supposed to not get along. We were supposed to be the way that we are. What if that's the truth? What if there are beings that are feeding off our energy, and they enjoy negative energy more? Or the beings that enjoy negative energy are the ones who are greedy? You find that, well, they do enjoy positive energy, but they also enjoy negative energy. I mean, some of them enjoy negative energy. And the ones that enjoy negative energy are the ones that are actually greedy. What if they put us in a simulation and we don't know that? They know how to make us experience what they want us to experience. They know what we want. They know what can make us feel good in this realm, but they fight hard to make sure that we experience what we do not want to experience, because they're very greedy and they want a lot of energy. However, the reason why we can't justify suffering is because it can't be justified. Suffering is bad, and we are suffering not for a good reason but for a bad reason. What if that is the truth? Free will. We like to live our lives believing that we actually have free will. The reason why we believe that we have free will is because it seems as if we have free will. Try to think of anything. Do you know where that thought really came from? Were you able to choose what you wanted to think about? You're like, okay, I want to think about a car. I want to think about Kendrick Lamar. I want to think about heaven. Like, did you actually choose to think about what you thought about when I say think of something? Okay. Do not think of a cow. Were you able to not think of a cow? I want you to remember something that you forgot. Something that you actually forgot. Try to remember something that you know you forgot. Are you able to remember it? Where do the ideas that we get come from? If I decide that I want to build a house, where does that come from? If you decide that you want to start a YouTube channel, where does that come from? If you didn't experience life the way that you experience life, do you think you still think the way that you think? If you are religious, do you think that you would believe in a religion that you believe in if you weren't born where you were born? If you didn't meet the people that you've met? Do you think you'd love the person that you love if you didn't meet them but you met someone else? You think you'd be addicted to the things that you're addicted to if something didn't happen to make you addicted? What if there is no free will? What if we're just victims of causality? Things happen and they cause other things to happen. And there's the reason why anything happen at all. You're watching this video, you could have been doing something else, but because you're watching these videos, there are thoughts that will not come into your head that would have come into your head if you weren't watching this video, and there are thoughts that will come to your head that wouldn't have come into your head if you weren't watching this video. There are things that you will do today that you weren't going to do if you did not watch this video. There are things that you're going to do at a time that you wouldn't do them if you did not watch this video, and that's gonna cause things to happen differently in your life, and not only in your life but in other people's life. Maybe you want to go and buy something and you're like, let me just watch this video until the end and I will go. You could have went outside maybe 30 minutes ago, but because you waited, some things are going to happen differently in the world. That's why I say everything is actually connected. Some people are going to meet because of you. Because you drove your car at the time that you drove your car. Someone had to stop for you, wait for your car to pass, and because they waited for your car to pass, they met someone and they got into a relationship and they broke someone's heart, and that person whose heart got broke, you know what I mean, like everything is connected. So how can we say that we have free will? How can we be certain that we actually have free will? Maybe we feel like we have free will because we are afraid of what it would mean if we didn't have free will, if things just happened. Because that would mean that there's no one to blame. Maybe a person who becomes a psychopath because of their genes. They were born like that, and they were raised in a way that made them feel like, doing what they feel like they must do is a good thing, even if it's something that we consider to be bad as a collective. No one chooses to be born. And on top of everything, you are not born and then you decide how you're going to be. You come out the way nature wanted you to be. If nature wanted you to be short, you're going to be short. If nature wanted you to be tall, you're going to be tall. If nature wanted you to be smart, you're going to be smart. If nature wanted you to be healthy, you be healthy. And we know that this world do not treat people the same. If you are healthy, you're not going to be treated the same way that a person who's healthy is being treated. If you are ugly, you're not going to be treated the same way that a person who's beautiful is being treated. If you are tall, you're not going to be treated the same way that the person who's short is being treated. We didn't choose where we will be born. And we know that if there are some people who are privileged because they were born in certain places, and some people who suffer a lot because they were born in certain places. You didn't choose your family. There are some people who suffer because, they weren't born in good families. And that affects how they think, that affects how they view life, that affects how they act. Some people have had to do things that we consider to be bad because things were bad in their lives. Some of us have never been so damn desperate that we did things that we never thought we would do. So we judge those who do these things. I remember this other lady, this Christian lady on TikTok. She was dissing her friend because her friend used to be a prostitute just for a while, because there was a time where she didn't have any source of income. She doesn't have parents, so maybe for like 6 months she became a prostitute. And her friend was laughing at her like, "Yo, I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm gonna tell the world the truth. You used to be a prostitute, this and that." But you see that the lady, she's not, like, it's not something that she wanted to do. She's decent. She just found herself. Like, she's decent, like she's a decent lady, but she just found herself in a situation where she was desperate enough, and she felt like there was no other way. We know that in this world things are difficult. It seems like even though we would like to be in control, or to believe that we're in control, we're not really in control. If you've watched the movie The Butterfly Effect, you'd understand what I'm talking about. It's about this guy who will pass out sometimes without knowing what's the cause. He will just pass out. And he got older, he realized that he was able to go to the time when he actually passed out. Right, he will surely be able to go into the past. And he will try to do things differently, and things will happen differently. Like, his life will change. Sometimes he will find himself in a wheelchair. Sometimes he'll find himself like in the worst shape of his life. What if we're just victims of causality, and we believe that we have free will because we want to feel like we're in control? It sucks to feel like you are not in control. What if you never actually die? What if you're never ever going to experience death? What if it's other people who are going to see you die? But every time when something happens that kills you, you do not die. You jump into another timeline. You jump into another reality where you didn't die. Then you leave people in a reality where you have died to mourn your death. But you don't know that you have skipped into another timeline. So you continue to exist in that timeline thinking, damn, that was a close call. Maybe you almost get involved in a car accident and you think, yeah, I almost died. But what if you did die in other people's perspectives? You just didn't die in your own perspective. You just jump into another timeline and you just continue to exist. And that's gonna keep on happening. Like, you will never actually die. You believe that on earth a person lives for like maybe 70, 80 years, but you never going to die. Maybe in the future they will create technology that makes people immortal, and even if you don't want to be immortal, you just not have a way out. You just, like, even if you decide to end things, you just find yourself in another timeline, until you make the decision to become immortal. Doesn't it feel weird to you that one day you're gonna die? Like when you think about death, you're like, one day I'm gonna die. Like, I think a lot about death. Like, damn, that's gonna happen to me one day. But sometimes it doesn't feel like it will happen to me. It feels like it will never happen to me. Like I would never ever experience death. Or if you don't jump into another timeline, you just find yourself somewhere else, thinking, not even remembering that you actually died in another reality. You just find yourself existing somewhere else, feeling like you've been there the whole time. Like how we find ourselves dreaming. It's not like when you find yourself dreaming, you remember that, I went to sleep around 11. I was watching Invincible, and I fell asleep. Now I'm having a dream. No, you just find yourself having an experience, thinking that it's real. It feels like you've been in that reality forever. Like there's no other reality that you've been in. Like that's it. That's where you've always been. That's how it feels. What if that's how it is? Even when you die. Some people feel like when we die, you just wake up, right? And it's completely logical to feel that way. But what if the opposite happens? What if when you die, you don't actually wake up somewhere? What if when you die, you just find yourself existing somewhere? So you don't actually wake up and be like, oh, I was dreaming. That wasn't real. Or I've died. So now I'm in the afterlife. No. What if the way that it happens is that you just find yourself in another reality, not knowing that you've died in another reality? So you never actually get to experience that death. Meaning, as soon as you're about to die or you're about to experience something that will lead to your death, you jump into another timeline where that doesn't happen. If someone's pointing at you, just before something happens, maybe the cops show up, but you find that actually in another reality they did you. You just don't know that they did. Life is strange. We don't really know what the truth is. But chances are, no matter what the truth is, it's going to be something that's going to sound very weird to us. Deep down, I can feel it, that this world is not what I think it is. I mean, unless when I'm like thinking deeply, yeah. But I mean, what I think it is when I just look outside and be like, yeah, there's people, oh, there's a plane, yeah, that's food, you know, these are my teachers, yeah, these are my parents, all, like, there's something weird going on. There is something that's off about existence. And it's good to ask ourselves the deepest questions about life. Thank you all, guys.